It was a fast-moving Monday, but it looks like it's going to end with Tennessee getting a quarterback. Joey Aguilar from App State to UCLA, now to Knoxville, Tennessee, planning to sign with the Volunteers. Let's react. What's this mean for 2025? That and so much more. Tuesday, Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, welcome into it. It is a Tuesday morning edition of Locked On Vols. Appreciate you guys for being here, making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch each and every single day. Today, it's going to be a shorter episode because, well, quite frankly, sometimes this business, it'll take you for a ride. I had today's episode signed, sealed, delivered, recorded, edited, scheduled, everything, socials, all the works, right? And then it was reported later in the evening on Monday evening that Tennessee was going to get Joey Aguilar. And so I went ahead and set loose what I had scheduled. I thought I needed to have something here for a Tuesday, and then I'll get some more breakdown and give you some more comments on a Wednesday show. Chris Gordy's going to be here to host for me on Thursday. Might have a pre-recorded show on Friday, but making sure you get covered from every single angle. Tennessee and Joey Aguilar. The expectation is he's planning to sign with the University of Tennessee, and that's what it always was kind of going to be about, right? Because UCLA gets Nico. Who's at UCLA? Well, it's this cat. He needs a place. Tennessee needs a quarterback, and so on and so forth. So over the next 15, 16 minutes or so, we're going to take a look at what this means. Today's episode is brought to you in part by our friends over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, put in the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase, again, over at Game Time. Here to join me to break down all the madness from Locked On College Football, it's Spencer McLaughlin. Content, storylines galore. Immediate reaction to the expectation of Joey Aguilar signing with the University of Tennessee.
I hope the Vols got a second-round pick and cash considerations, too, because I don't think on paper that's a one-to-one fair swap. But I think this is just the quintessential 2025 college football story. Like, these things didn't happen when I was growing up watching the sport, Eric, and I didn't follow it as closely as I do now in the offseason. But, I mean, I knew what was going on. This is just where the sport is at. You don't have to like it. There are clearly plenty of people that do. Eric and I are making a lot of content about it, and people are eating it up because it's interesting. Like, you cannot make this sort of stuff up. Brandon Marcello gets credit for the best tweet of this entire saga, that the most 2025 college football thing imaginable is that Aguilar goes to Tennessee, Nico's at UCLA, they make a bowl game, Tennessee plays UCLA in the bowl game, and then they both sit out to get ready for the NFL draft.
It's
that's
wild,
where it's at.
Man. It's crazy. There's ample storylines. Tennessee. I mean, you would thought, and that's kind of where I'm going to get down to it. Like there were only two options in the portal at the end of the day that made sense for Tennessee. I mean, you and I were talking, about last week or something. You were going down the list of guys who were in the portal, and I mean, none of those guys were viable options for Tennessee. And sure, I thought it was always a pipe dream that Tennessee was going to get a sitting Power 4 quarterback. Remember, no SEC to SEC in this window. So really one of the other, three conferences at the power level, a sitting quarterback to uproot his life, uproot his situation, come to Knoxville, try to learn the playbook, win over the locker room, win the job, all that and more. I mean, sure, there were agents, talking to collectives. I mean, that goes on across the country, but that would have been a tough pull. So at the end of the day, for me, it was Steve Angeli back up at Notre Dame, okay? Or once Nico became official, if Joey Aguilar jumped in, then I think he would have been an option for Tennessee. Lo and behold, that happened on Monday. They talked all day long. And then, of course, it was VolQuest, on 3, Chris Lowe, ESPN, Pete Thamel, everybody reacting and reporting on a Monday night that the expectation is Joey Aguilar will sign and play for Tennessee. So I think it was really that was one of the only options there. So, like, I'm going back to your joke, and it is funny, but it's like, what else could Tennessee have done, right? Because I think, Tennessee fans clamoring for Luke Ogmeyer or, Avery John or whoever the case is. I mean, it was going to be a difficult pull. So given the circumstances, given that it's April the 22nd, I'm not saying Joey Aguilar is going to go out there and win a Heisman, but you at least feel better about where you are than where you started the day, right?
I don't know that he'd be a guarantee to start. I'd certainly see him as the favorite if this opens up a legitimate quarterback battle
Which it will, yeah.
fall camp. Because the interesting thing about it is spring football is pretty close to over, right? Like it's
over in Knoxville. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The Vols are done, and so a bunch of other places as well are kind of winding down and get ready to transition to the summer months. So the coaching staff is about to go all in on the recruiting front because you're going to make up the bulk of your 2026 class in the next 3 months' time, May, June, and July. And so that's where your attention is, not who's our quarterback going to be. And come fall camp, I mean, that's going to be among the most high-profile, perhaps competitive quarterback battles in the entire country because you don't know. You can suppose, you could assume it'll be Aguilar because he's more experienced than the other guys, but experience against who? The Sun Belt? Look, I am Sun Belt, Fun Belt Spencer. That is a mantra that I just came up with, and it's going to stick. I'm going to make it stick even more than the Sid from Toy Story accusation that I get all the time. I don't know where Woody and Buzz are. I don't. Stop asking.
I've never heard that.
Just wait, dude. I'm like 3 days away from getting my haircut. Once I kind of finish moving all of my stuff, I tell you what, it's uncanny once I get the haircut and go full Buzz. But anyway, so the haircut, not the action figure. So the quarterback situation is wild. And look, is Joey Aguilar Josh Hoover? No, I love that Tennessee went and swung for Josh Hoover. However that makes you feel as a fan, I am someone who fancies myself as very pro fan in the college football space because I think a lot of aspects of this sport and college athletics as a whole, unfortunately, are not. And so it is pro fan to say, you know what? I get why you're frustrated that guys are moving around. There's not as much loyalty. It's not about playing for, the power T, as Josh Heupel said at the press conference. I get it. I then go to the Moneyball line. Adapt or die. Grady. Yep. Adapt or die. And eventually, Grady got fired, of course, because he was getting left behind. So, I respect that Tennessee went out and tried to get Josh Hoover because that tells me Josh Heupel realizes what he's got, what the program is, the momentum they have off a college football playoff appearance a year ago. Yeah, they got blown out by Ohio State. Who didn't? Michigan, and then Oregon that one time, but then who cares, really, because they got blown out when it was all on the line. And so I think that for that situation, they were trying to make the most of it, but this is now the best you had. Because the other G5 quarterback that moved recently is Gio Lopez, going from North Carolina over, or going from South Alabama, rather, over to North Carolina and Bill Belichick. And are those two guys comparable? I think Aguilar's probably a little bit of a better player. He's more proven. I think both guys are capable, but I think it makes things interesting. At the very least, it makes things interesting and exciting. That's the upside for fans. The downside is, a lot of people bought Nico jerseys last fall, and I don't know what you put on the back of them now. It might not be kind.
There were a lot of iterations of Iamale something on the back of those jerseys. The
Iamale leaving?
Yeah, there was that. There was some bad words. It was pretty funny to say the least. But again, I don't want to spend the whole time because we're not going to do this for much longer. I just want to get a little something out there. But, how serious was Tennessee and Josh Hoover, right? I mean, again, he was not in the transfer portal. So, Tennessee staff did not talk to him. Agents, vetting, agents talking.
Hold on.
Tennessee's under the microscope, dude. So
I know. I get that. And by the way, I'm not reporting anything with that reaction.
No, I know. I'm just saying,
officially,
it's like an agent going out there saying, okay, so interest there. What would it take? Okay, well, now we'll probably say here, and then agent turning around doing his job. Again, I don't know if this is to be case, but I could see this happening. Like agent turning around saying, oh no, we're going to stay here. TCU, let's go. Whatever. It's not hook 'em, but whatever they say. He becomes a legend there for that fan base, and he probably gets a raise. So that's the whole thing about this. What is it?
Is that what it is? Is it Go Frogs?
I have no clue. I'm not a TCU guy.
I forget. It's Go Frogs. I respect that Hoover stayed there, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I mean, but that's the whole thing. We just don't know. And that's why this era is just so wild and wacky. Anyway, Let's get back to Joey Aguilar here in a moment. A really good quarterback at App State, of course, never took a snap for UCLA, transfer there in the winter portal window. But what's Tennessee getting in Joey Aguilar, and will he win the quarterback job, come August? That and so much more as we continue on here this abbreviated Wednesday or Tuesday Locked On Vols. Stay tuned. All right, guys, I want to tell you about our friends over at Game Time. Game Time is the place where you can buy tickets to events, last-minute tickets, and oftentimes the ticket prices go down the later you wait. I'll get into that here in a moment. But there's nothing like the atmosphere in an NBA playoff game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment, it feels huge. It's electric inside that arena, and with Game Time, you can make it, or you can be a part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Game Time makes it fast and easy to get your playoff tickets. When the demand is sky high, prices on the app, they actually go down. Yeah, the tip-off gets closer. Their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. Last-minute deal, 60% off buying. It's not just for sporting events as well. It can be sports. It can be comedy. It can be theater. It can be concerts. Whatever event is going on in your area, chances are that ticket's being sold on Game Time. You can save the closer you get. They're even selling tickets on the Game Time app after the event has started. And if you download the Game Time app today, you put in that promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. You can put in the promo code LOCKEDONCollege and you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create that account, put in the redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So big shout out to our friends over at Game Time and a big shout out to our friends over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks, where you can have so much fun this basketball season, this baseball season specifically. All you have to do is pick more than or less than at least 2 player projections. So if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash, whether it's strikeouts, RBI, or first inning runs. PrizePicks keeps the game super exciting. This week, I'm picking Aaron Judge for more than 1 home run and Shohei Ohtani for more than 1 stolen base. That seems like easy money, right? It's fast and simple. Setting up your lineup takes less than 60 seconds. So when you win, your payout is quick, safe, and secure. I always take advantage of the Taco Tuesday, where PrizePicks offers discounts on select player projections for even more value. Download the app today. Use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 in winnings. That's promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it is where you can run your game. All right, welcome back to a Tuesday Locked On Vols. Big news Monday night that Joey Aguilar plans to sign with the University of Tennessee. Reports out there from Chris Lowe, Pete Thamel of ESPN that somewhere around $1.2 million was what was left on his deal with the Bruins. Again, never played a snap. So it's expected that deal is going to be somewhere around the same here at Tennessee when you take out taxes and all that. So anyway you want to look at it, huge discount from what you were going to be paying Nico Iamaleava. Now, granted, you have a quarterback that's played at the group of 5 level, not the power level, a lot to prove. So when you look at the makeup of Joey Aguilar, what do you like about him? What does he do well in your research from him? And what do you think he can bring to the Southeastern Conference for at least a team trying to win a job?
Well, the Vols have gotten used to, in one season at least a little bit, a tall quarterback. You're going to have that again here with Joey Aguilar. 6'3", 220 pounds. He stands in the pocket, and he was incredibly productive at Appalachian State. He had been making his second career progression jump at UCLA this past year. Now we'll do it, of course, in the SEC instead of in the Big Ten for a reason. He began his career at Diablo Valley Community College, which is just northeast of San Francisco, and they've sent more than a couple guys to the Division I ranks over the years. And Aguilar was good there, was better at App State. And 2023 is the year Vols fans will want to look at. Maybe not 2024 quite as much. It wasn't as smooth and fluid, but statistically, this is a guy who's thrown the ball a lot. 4-year player at the college level, couple in JUCO. So, I mean, hey, Diego Pavia rule, baby. He could be the Vols starter for the next 2 years if it all goes according to plan, perhaps, for Josh Heupel and company. So a guy who set the single season records in the following areas for Appalachian State: in 2023. Passing yards, passing touchdowns, total offense, number of 200-yard passing games, pass completions, and pass attempts. He attempted 460 passes in 2023. So this is a guy who can throw the football around. And I have seen Josh Heupel's offense be run-centric. I have seen it be pass-centric. Aguilar is capable of doing both of those things. It's just a matter of whether or not he can make the jump again. He went community college up to the Sun Belt level. Sun Belt, Fun Belt, that's a good G5 league. One of the 2 or 3 best in the country year in and year out, without question. And he was really good. And UCLA thought he could be a starting quarterback. Say whatever you like about the UCLA football program. They're still in the Big Ten. So, yeah, it's the best available, not necessarily option number 1, as we talked about. They were looking at Josh Hoover or, Avery Johnson would have been a crazy pull, but again, an interesting or exciting one from Kansas State. But I think Aguilar has the potential. I just asked the same question of anyone who's making a jump in competition like that. How do you make that adjustment? How can you go from, hey, you can squeeze the ball into that window to, nope, you can't do that. That safety's way too fast. He's going to play on Sundays soon. That's, I think, where the biggest question obviously is, and I think rightly so.
And you're doing it on an accelerated clock. Your first official practice with your new team is going to be like August 1st or whatever. You didn't have spring. He did go through spring at UCLA, and to your point, Big Ten. Yeah, they technically are in the Big Ten, but it is power football. So, but it's not the SEC, and I'm not trying to take a stab at Big Ten. This is more a stab at UCLA, not the Big Ten. It's not the SEC. It is going to be different. So that accelerated clock and all that, everything's against him. That's why I think there's some real value in, not saying that he's QB1, not saying that he's the automatic starter, because I think Jake Merklinger's got an unbelievable opportunity to beat him out. I'm not saying that's going to happen. If I were handicapping it today, I would probably put Joey Aguilar as the favorite simply because it's experience. And I know it's not SEC experience, but it is experience more than Jake Merklinger has. And George McIntyre is currently an early enrollee true freshman. So it's kind of his job to go out there and win, and I'll see what he can do. I would assume that he's going to do it. But there is a lot of time between now and the opening snap of the season to see what can happen in fall camp. Going back to all that stuff in 23, you mentioned the passing yards, App State record 3,757. The passing touchdowns, you mentioned 33. Total offense as well, 4,002 yards. He was named the Sun Belt Newcomer of the Year. He was honorable mention. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I'm going to have to dive down deeper into it. Again, this all moved kind of fast. I want to say he still had a pretty good supporting cast, at least of returners. His stats went down in 24, but he was still, an All-American, an All-Conference honorable mention.
I don't think App State overall had the football season they were expecting in 2024. I think they were seen not necessarily as like a playoff dark horse as the G5 auto bid, but like as a high-end program, and I don't think they had the year that they were expecting.
Yeah, so his play regrets. I think the whole team's play regressed a little bit. Leaves his Mountaineers career number 5 on the school's all-time list of passing touchdowns, 56 total, passing yards, 6,760. So again, the dude slung it a lot. And so I think when they were evaluating him compared to going all in on Stephen Angeli, I think it was just a guy that has not played an awful lot, had a big series, had a big drive in the college football playoff. That's notable. But at least for Joey Aguilar, he's been there, done that. He's been battle-tested. And again, to your point, the question is, can you do it at this level? Nobody knows right now. But Tennessee at least has some competition in that room, which was more than what you could say entering Monday morning.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to keep an eye on is not just the adjustment, but also the turnovers. 24 interceptions in the last 2 years while starting at App State. Now, they threw the ball a lot. They threw the ball a lot, and they missed a bowl game this past year after a 9-win campaign in 2023. So, that speaks to what we were talking about, that it just it didn't quite click for the entire program there. But I think for Aguilar, I don't know where the expectations should be or where they will be for him if he is Tennessee's starting quarterback. I do know that if he were to have Nico's production last year, which I don't think is totally unthinkable, since as big a name as Nico was, Vols fans know as well as anyone, he really didn't put up crazy numbers. It was like, 2,600 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 5 picks?
Yep.
Okay, if Joey Aguilar does that, this is a home run wild success, and Tennessee's pushing to be a playoff team. Again, I think that's probably the ceiling. I think the floor is, the turnovers are a problem, and everyone starts asking a month and a half into the season or less, when does the young guy get the reins?
Yeah, I mean, I could see that certainly. And again, I'm glad you brought up Nico's stats, and this is not me trying to bash Nico out the door. I mean, I've been getting criticized for being too much of a Nico backer. I mean, even before he left Tennessee, but like, he made big boy plays to beat Alabama. Like, he made a couple of really, really strong throws in big time situations. But you're right, his stat line overall, game manager, lean on defense, lean on the run game. I think Tennessee, I know you don't have Dylan Sampson, but I think Tennessee's run game is going to be good. I think Tennessee's defense, once again, going to be good. So there's so many questions still, even before the quarterback saga, so many questions about the Tennessee team, but it's got the makings to where it's still going to be a really good roster. And if you have a quarterback that at minimum is what you could say, quote unquote, game manager,
just fine.
You'll win a lot of games in that regard.
Fine.
And this guy, again, I haven't watched his tape just yet, but on paper, he looks like a Brett Favre, just going to sling it out there. Turnovers might be there, but he's going to throw for a crap ton of yards and a crap ton of touchdowns. Again, we'll see if that can translate. So overall, given the circumstances, again, April 21st, 22nd, whatever day that this is, I mean,
dude, I don't know either.
When you were thrown complete from left field when Nico decided to leave and not show up to practice on Friday morning, I mean, you had to find a quarterback, you got a quarterback, and now you get to work.
Yeah, I think you make the best out of a bad situation. You get lemons, you make lemonade, and look, it may not be Simply Lemonade, which is the greatest brand of, I mean, there's so much sugar in it, but it's so good. It's like, it's legitimately like, I'm a lemonade connoisseur of sorts. But, it still might be a respectable beverage, a Newman's Own or something like that. Like, it could still be something you enjoy. It might not be creme de la creme, top tier sort of stuff, but overall, yeah. What other option was? I don't know that. Jaden Rashada? You want to go down that rabbit hole?
We already had that conversation. That'd be quite the pivot.
Yeah,
FanDuel had Tennessee 9.5. When they first put out early lines with Nico as a quarterback. Nico left. They went down to 8.5. Now I'll be intrigued to see kind of where this. Does it move it at all? Does it go up to 9? Does it stay? I would imagine.
No, I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that moves it.
I can't either. But like, FanDuel still believes, Vegas still believes that Tennessee's going to be a pretty good football team, good roster.
Yeah.
I think it was like the 4th or 5th best odds in the SEC. So, yeah, I mean, I'm intrigued to see how this all works. But
if Josh Heupel gets the SEC championship game, lifetime extension right now, right now.
Given the options, I'm certainly more on board with this than maybe a Steve Angeli. Because again, the Avery Johnsons and the Josh Hoovers and the Luke Altmaier, those are pipe dreams in my opinion.
Right, I agree. And I think the Angeli factor was interesting, is interesting. He might wind up at Syracuse, by the way, if people are curious. I think that had appeal, could have worked. However, this is a better option. Angeli has thrown 80 passes in his career.
Yep.
Whereas Aguilar had one season where he attempted 460. So he's probably tossed over 1,000 passes in his career. It's against a lower level of competition, sure. But you were looking for an experienced guy who can raise your floor in the quarterback room. He might not have the ceiling that you're looking for, but at least there's a certain floor of production to where Tennessee can, have a solid season, keep things stable, build on it with recruiting momentum and all that sort of stuff.
I like it. We'll continue to break it down. Again, I will be back here on a Wednesday. We'll do a normal Locked On Vols, and I'll continue to talk everything about Joey and Aguilar. I'm looking at Avery Johnson. And I'm looking at Steven and Jelly's name right now. All these things.
Everything's flying around.
Everything. I mean, it's the middle of the night that I'm recording this. You know how it is. It's been one of those weeks, but we're going to get there. So anyway, I'll be back here on a Wednesday breaking everything down about Tennessee's new quarterback and the chances that he can win the job. What's this mean for Jake Merklinger, George McIntyre, all that and more. Chris Gordy's going to host the show on Thursday. I'll have something on Friday. But I appreciate you guys for being here. And check out Spencer McLaughlin. I know it says watch next at Locked On SEC. Do watch Locked On SEC, but also watch Locked On College Football. We got it going on this week, Spencer.
Oh, man. All the Nico coverage and takes you could possibly want. More Nico takes that you could possibly want.
Now with Madden.
The portal is just the gift that keeps on giving this time of year. So anything that you want to know portal related, you can ask me because I've probably already talked about it on my show or thought about talking about it. But all the latest breaking news across this wonderful, beautiful sport. That's how we roll on Locked On College Football. Biggest sports, or the biggest stories in the biggest, greatest sport on planet Earth.
Appreciate you, Spencer. Check out his show, and we'll be back right here tomorrow, right here on Locked On Balls.